Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Leadership Purpose with Dr. Robin podcast. I'm so glad you're here and you listening to the podcast. And because you've been such faithful listeners, you've helped us get ranked in the top 5% of all podcasts globally, according to Listen Notes. So thank you for doing that. Really appreciate you. And it will help us so much if you would go over, rate, review, subscribe to the podcast. Really would help out. All right. So now today I'm talking with Dr. Darlene Williams-Prades. And now let me tell you a little bit about her. She's a contributing author to the book Destiny Expose, the anthology, Leading Ladies Edition. And in that work, it is a bold declaration of purpose, showcasing the strength, resilience, and grace of leading ladies. And Dr. Darlene has been a life coach for over 30 years. So she has experience with a diverse range of clients, from young adults navigating career transitions to seniors seeking purpose in retirement. And she has made a difference in many lives. So today we welcome Dr. Darlene Williams-Prades. Welcome to the
Hello,
podcast.
hello, hello, hello. How are you doing? Thank you for
Fan-
having me.
I'm doing great. I'm looking forward to this conversation. You and I have a kinship in our work, and it took me many, many years, over 20, to find my place and my purpose and do work that express my purpose. So now I teach others how to do it after learning all the ups and downs. This way, they don't have to go through 20 years. So I'm glad I have someone, sort of a kindred spirit in the work here on the podcast today. And I'm especially interested in hearing your story and how you got here today. But let's just jump right in and say, you heard me introduce you and just say a little bit about you. But why don't you tell us in your own words about who you are and the work you do?
Well, who I am is just Darlene or DW on a daily basis. I am a mom of three, a grandmother of four, and a friend to whoever wants me. I'm okay with that. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Um, I'm an adopted child. Both of my parents passed away when I was younger. And so the things that I've learned and the lessons that I've learned have taught me from the very beginning that when you give of yourself is when you receive more. And so I believe that when you pour into someone else, whether it's a little bit, a lot of it, or just a medium bit, you're always going to get back more, not necessarily from that person, but along your life and that road. It led me at a young age. And when I say young age, we're talking about in my elementary school age, where helping other people became my joy. Giving to other people became a joy for me. And I found that when I couldn't, how bad I felt. And so as I grew older, and it wasn't a thing to be a relationship coach, it wasn't a thing to be a mediator, it wasn't a thing to be a speaker, but it was a thing to have a calling or to be a minister in whatever God chose. And so he kept choosing, you're going to be a teacher. And I kept saying, no, I like kids, but not enough to stay in the classroom with them all day. But that's not what happened. Of course, I joined the United States Air Force and I helped people there. I got out of the Air Force, became a singer, did that, became an actress, did that. I was a mom while doing all of these different things. Went to school and studied all of these different things, worked on in radio, television, and film, wrote a novel, first novel, 2004, called Sunflower. And that was encouraged by a professor at my university saying, you have a gift and you could teach people a lesson. And I was like, lady, look, you and God keep talking about this teaching thing. And I keep telling you that whole classroom scene is not for me. And fast forward 2008, and I was a school teacher at a Christian school. Literally, literally in a class, literally in a classroom with children who the way this school was set up was kindergarten to sixth grade. So it's a room and they're all facing their laptops. And I thought, okay, God, you got real jokes here. Cause I specifically said not a teacher, not in the classroom with a bunch of kids. And what I found out was these kids absolutely adored me. And I absolutely fell in love with them. But it also made me open my heart more to other people around me. That, hey, what do you need help with? Hey, maybe if you tried, and always trying to look for steps to grow people and giving them ways to get past or resolve an issue versus just staying in it. So my story is it's from loss, losing my parents at 16 and really not knowing who I was and where I came from because I was adopted and they never told me that story, to leadership in the United States Air Force, where now I am leading 61 women I do not know, but they trust my every word. And I'm working on the giant legacy so that my children know I'm always here, but not only my children. When I work with gang male youth, when I work with the elderly in Milwaukee, it's all about uniting people in a path that's theirs, not mine.
Yes. Yes. Wow, sounds like you've had such a wide variety of experiences, but what I love about it is you did the thing that was calling to you for whatever reason at the time, it sounds
Yeah,
like. And so now
yeah.
tell us about the what was the work in radio and TV? And now the reason why I ask that is because and I often say this on the podcast. When I was in high school, I had a fantasy of being on the radio, but I didn't tell anyone. It didn't come out until I started talking on the podcast. I don't even think I remembered, but it wasn't a thing. I didn't know anybody who was on radio. I didn't even think it was a possibility. Uh, but then when podcasts became, more popular, I started the podcast, and it reminded me of that. So when you talked about in your experience having experience with radio and TV, I'm curious to know what were you doing? So what were you doing?
Well, when I started this thing out, I don't know if anybody remembers BET, and there was Donnie Simpson and his green eyes, and I'm like, I want to do that, right? I want to do that. I attended Bowie State University in Maryland, and I majored in radio, television, and film. And the persons that I received as professors, some of them were shock jocks from radio. And they were like, you have a great voice for radio or voiceover. And I thought, okay, so what they said was, we're going to make you the jazz talent for BSU's radio station. And then I got a quick internship at WPDC. And I was like, oh, this is cool. I like it. Nobody can see me. I can do what I want. I can say what needs to be said. And I was good with that. And so you would get on, like, welcome to the Jazz Channel. We're now going to go into Al Jarreau. And I thought, yeah, baby, this is it. But then I got that promotion that God gives you, and I got an internship with BET. And I was the floor director for the Tavis Smiley Show and Bet on Jazz. And then I was at their concerts and I was doing the thing where, oh my God, what was it? It was something, the Rap City. And I'm like, wait, this is okay. All right. And then there was a change in direction because I was married, I had kids now, and he was in the military and I was out. So wherever he went, we all went. And then BET was actually selling off. So it kind of all worked together because now BET was being sold and we were leaving. So it worked out, but I got the experience. I also got the experience when I shot my own film in Washington, D.C., and I had a crew. So I got to be a director and a producer and a writer. And I thought, oh, this is really, really good. And I opened a business and I had an intern at one point who went on to, now he's still on the radio. And I thought, oh, this is good. I did good stuff. I still helped someone else who needed help. They were like, hey, we need, some students need internships. I got a small business. They can do an internship here. I'm doing this. And they went on to do great things. So my life has always been ever evolving. The podcast thing, I don't know why I was reluctant. I actually have a podcast called Relationship Matters, where I talk about all of this different relationship stuff. And then I have a master class that I'm teaching every Thursday on different parts of relationships and how we interact.
Amazing. It's amazing. I love that you follow your heart. It sounds like you just follow your heart and you do the things that you can do in that moment. All right. So you talked about you have a podcast now. All right. So tell us what currently your work. We know you have the podcast and you're doing relationships, and I see that you are a life coach and a minister. But tell us basically what's your current role, your professional role.
My professional role, I have two. One,
Of
I am
course.
an
Of
okay, she's of course. Well,
course.
I actually work as an executive support emergency assistant for FEMA. And so yeah, I work, see, I'm still working with people who suffer from disasters. And so it's always about giving, active listening, open communication, and doing what you need to do there. Then on the other side of that, my company is called Superior Love Forever LLC. Now, here's the thing. It used to be Superior Love Forever LLC Invisible Me. And yes, at one point, I was kind of like, here's the motto. It's all about you and it's never about me. And at some point, I got the message, yeah, it is about you because you're the catalyst for transformation. So it has to be enough about you to be about them, or they won't know what this is all about. And I thought, okay. And so someone asked me, what do you do? I said, I mend fences, I build bridges, and I transform lives. It's just that simple.
Yeah,
I'm a
that's
certified mediator. I mediate for the Department of Homeland Security. Yeah, so I work for two different agencies, only get one takeaway paycheck, but I mediate for the Department of Homeland Security. And it's not just their cases, it's cases for immigrations, it's cases for the Coast Guards, it's cases for Flexi. All these different agencies have issues and they have mediators and we're a collaborative. And when they call on me, I'm like, gotcha. And we do what we do for 4 hours.
wow. Once again, you're following your heart and you're doing the thing, but at the core of it, it seems to be serving people in need in some way.
It's always about serving.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
always, and I tell people all the time that that can get you, you got to watch because you need to have boundaries.
Mm.
There has to be time when you get served. An empty cup doesn't serve anybody. It's
Yeah.
empty. So you have to have a resource to fill you back up so that you can go back out and fill up others.
What has worked well for you or has been helpful for you in setting boundaries or refilling your cup?
Meditation, making sure that I take the time to write. Sometimes I just write just to write. Whatever is inside becomes a journaling moment. And journaling is one of the best possible things. Reading the Bible is another one, but reading other books that enhance your mind, practicing a new language, or yoga. Chair yoga is like my favorite thing right now. Chair yoga, chair yoga is amazing. And people will say, oh, chair yoga, it's going to hurt your body. You're going to start to feel it. You just have to follow the plan.
Okay. And when you started that list, you said meditation and then you said writing. Are they two in one, or do you separate the meditation and the writing?
Um, it will depend on the day.
Mm.
Some days I wake up and there's so much inside that I'm writing it out. And I have a speaker next to my laptop and I have binaural sounds coming out. And what they're doing is they're aiding me in focus, focus, focus. So once you get it all out, and it may be 2 pages or maybe 20 pages, but once you know when you hit the period that you're done. And one of the things I do constantly is I have positive affirmation. And it's not, most people have multiple, I only have the one. I'm here for a purpose. And the purpose I have is the one that has been set by God, not set by me. He sets the pace. I follow the pace. I win the race.
That's a powerful affirmation. And so, what is your purpose?
My purpose is to heal.
Mm.
And it's to heal not just from the outside, because that's what medical doctors do, but from the inside out.
Mm.
When you start with the heart, it is the center of the body.
Mm.
Became a certified Reiki master for that very reason, to touch meridians all over the body without even leaving my home, because you can do Reiki, of course, across boundaries. There is no boundaries with energy. And in my presence, I can do the same thing. I've aligned myself with others who actually do that as well.
Healing, and healing can take so many different forms. It could, yeah. I mean, all the work you've done as you've been sharing with us, healing has probably been a role, playing its role within all of those. And
Absolutely.
I say that to encourage people who are listening, and primarily women, because sometimes they think it's one thing. They think like this one job for the rest of my life, or
No,
this one thing, and I have to have it figured out. Your experience shows us that that's not the case.
it's never the case. I mean, I think that as we grow up, we've been conditioned that this is your role, this is your lane, and this is where you stay. And as I've grown more mature, I found out no, my lane is what I say it is. It's not what someone else says it is. You have to know what your inner power is, and you have to be able to face that. When you look in the mirror in the morning, you need to instantly establish a relationship with self and then move on from there. Don't establish a relationship with someone else when you don't even know who you are.
Yes. And that's what I say. That's my definition of true purpose, to be your authentic self. Be true to
At
who
all
you are.
times.
And I know you do a lot of work with helping people reflect and find out who they are, but that to me is your purpose. It's not a thing, it's not this destination. It's to be that, and it can be expressed in a variety of ways. All right.
Correct.
So now I mentioned, I wanted to start a podcast back from my having the fantasy of the radio days. But when I started this podcast, I thought, well, who is the podcast for? And so I said, well, for people who are looking for meaning and purpose in their work, because that's something that I think is very important for people to have a fulfilling life. And so then
Mhm.
I thought, but what kind of people are looking for meaning and purpose? And I'm like, okay, it's going to be high achieving women, and what I call high achieving women, women who are responsible, ambitious in a positive way, good at a couple things, doing a few things. People in their professional lives come to them. They're the one that they come to ask them questions, whether it has to do with their job or not. They come to
Right.
them. People in the personal life, family, friends, neighbors, come to them, want to pick your brain or hear your advice, whether it's related to anything they've ever done or not. They're the one that will come to them, right? And they're okay with that. And they're doing all the things. So that's one part of the characteristics of the person the podcast is for. But at the same time, they're in a place where everything looks good on paper, but they don't have a sense of meaning and purpose. And they want to express it in their work. And they
Yeah.
think surely there must be more. But according to everybody else, everything looks okay. So I thought, well, we'll get on the podcast and we'll talk to each other and we'll support the women who are going through what I just mentioned. And I saw you nodding like you could resonate with what I was saying.
Well, I truly understand. People think that because and I had to say this to someone in public, oh, I saw this. You're CEO, you're founder. I said, and I'm human, and I don't always get along with my husband, and we don't always agree with my kids. And sometimes I just want to go, because I recognize life can make you spastic. I said, but here's the problem. Other people want to get on screen and they go, life is perfect. No, my life is a work in progress, just like the 64 freeway here in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. There's working men on it day and night. But I'm good with that. I'm good with
Yes,
that because I recognize that's real life.
yes.
My hair is not always going to be perfect, boo. Don't look for it. I'm not always going to be the most articulate woman in the world. Don't look for that either. But I will. If you come to my house, baby, you can eat all you want to. I will fix you the best meal, whatever you want. You want sake salmon? You want smoked salmon? You want orange shrimp? What you want? I got you. Thai food, I can fix that for you. Or do you want to just sit on my sofa and we're gonna do like a whole day of whatever Netflix thing you want to binge and some salsa, whatever you want to do. Because I'm that girl. When I have people come to my podcast, I get, I'm like, can we just like do the sofa thing? Do we have to do the formal? I don't want to. I
Yeah.
don't want to. I don't want to spend, and I know when I go to these events, it cracks me up. Oh, we got somebody do your makeup. Do we have to do that? Like, can I just be me? No, we gotta do your makeup for the camera. I'm like, is he marrying me? Is like, is there a 10-carat ring coming from the camera guy? Because I'm already married, and that's called bigamy, and jail is not my thing either. They just kind of look at me and they go, okay, so we're just gonna do light makeup. Okay, all right. But when I'm home and it's just me, it's really, really about the common barriers of communication. And I'm always focused on that because I watch people as how they interact and the different ways they communicate or not in public. And it shocks me sometimes. It amazes me. I'm like, okay, I know they're together, but what just happened?
Yeah.
Okay, you
Yeah.
can't ask that, Darlene, but you can assess and then go, do some work research on that. But it's always about not fixing people, helping people resolve. Because fixing is something else.
Yes. That's right.
Resolving helps it to become palatable for both parties.
Yes.
Fixing
Now,
means it's only on one side.
yes. Now, we probably can guess the answer to this, but we don't want to assume. This work that you're just talking about now, not fixing, there's that healing component that's always been with you, it sounds like, since a very young age. Would you say right now you have purpose in your life and work?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
The healing purpose is to take away what people hide. They hide their pain behind the smiles and the niceties. But when you get them alone and it's really quiet and no one's saying anything, then it becomes, I really don't know what I'm going to do with my life. I have no idea. I'm no longer in love with this person, or I fight every day. And sometimes I just shut down. And then it becomes, okay, so what are we? Not what are you, because that's accusatory. What are we going to do? How do we want to fix this?
You know, and it sounds like it's important work for people because, like we were saying before, y- to be who you are, you, if you're in a relationship, you have to first start with your own authentic self. So now
Correct.
let's go back to you and your purpose. Um, what would you say is one of the challenges you have learned to or have overcome? And we're still acknowledging, because you said earlier you are human. All right. So we
I
want to
am
acknowledge
human.
your humanness. And I want to say, I see you. I recognize you as a human. And I want to say, as a person who has come to this place where you're living out your purpose, what has been a challenge that you were able to navigate or overcome? And the reason why I'm asking that, because there might be somebody listening right now who's struggling. And even if it's not the exact same challenge that you have, at least they know it's okay to have a struggle and that you can overcome it. So, what would you say is one of, and I'm sure there's more than one because that's life. But what's one that you can mention now that you overcame, and how'd you do that?
Overcoming loss, um,
Mm,
losing my parents at 16, losing my youngest son, um, ending up in divorce, and just kind of losing losing my first business, and just it was just this whole barrage of loss, 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 loss. And then I got to a point and I said, you know what? What's the lesson? What did you learn? Are you still here? Who can you serve? With this loss, someone else has lost their parents. How can you help them through that? Someone else has lost their son. How can you walk them through that? Someone has been through divorce multiple times. How can you walk them through that? Someone has lost a close friend. How can you, a sister, a brother, how can you walk them through all of that? They've lost their job. They're trying to figure it out. You've done all of this. See, my life has been this barrage of loss, loss, loss. I've been on welfare. I've been a single parent. I've done all these different things. What does that culminate to? How can I heal someone else? Well, the first thing you need to figure out, Darlene, is where do you go? So I took myself to a therapist. Now, most people won't do that. I can fix it. No, you can't, because if you could, you wouldn't feel like you feel. And I took myself to someone who taught me one, you have to actively listen to yourself. See, and most people don't. They hear this is not something you should be doing. And here's the risk. But they're like, no, because if I do this, it'll resolve a problem. If you do this, it's going to create a new problem. And then you're going to be in this cycle over and over. Seek help. What is it worth to you to be in a different place in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year from now? Ask yourself, where am I now? And where do I want to be? And that's the question I tell anybody. That's what I give to anybody out there listening. Ask yourself, where am I now? Where do I want to be? And who can help me get there? Not can I get there on my own, because you can't. It is clearly stated no man is an island. There's a reason for that. We're all here as bodies of energy to connect in such a way that it's positive, it's uplifting, it's empowering, and for goodness sake, it is healing.
Healing, yes, it is. I mean, that was a powerful word that you sent out to people. And I'm sure right now people are saying, I want to hear more. Right? I want to hear more. So before we tell them how they can be in touch with you, is there something else you want to share with us that I didn't get a chance to ask you or that popped in your mind? It doesn't have to be, but if something popped in your mind, you say, I just want to say this one more thing. And then we'll tell them how they can hear more from you and be in touch with you.
Understand that when you wake up in the morning, before your feet touch the ground, and you don't have to be religious at all, but before your feet ever hit the ground, before you flick on the light, before you pick up your cell phone, just say thank you. That's simple. It takes 2 words. Say it and understand that when you send that message out to the universe, when you send that message out to God, when you send that message out, it's going to come back to you later on, and I'll show you how fast. I went to a restaurant last night and I saw this young lady, and she had the most beautiful braids. Now, someone else would go, oh, they'll tell their husband, they'll tell somebody. And I said, excuse me, your hair is absolutely gorgeous. And her face beamed like somebody flipped on a light switch in Vegas. 15 minutes later, 15 minutes, people came through the line. Young lady stops at my table. She said, your hair is absolutely gorgeous. She was not in the restaurant when this was ever said. I don't know where this young lady came from. She was with her parents. And I said, thank you. And my husband gave me this look. I said, see, sometimes karma's quick, sometimes karma's slow, but energy works. Energy works you. Start positive. Yes, you're going to hit some bumps along the day. Everybody does that. I don't care if it's your car, if it's traffic, if you didn't get your coffee right, whatever it was. But keep saying in your head, I'm thankful. I'm grateful. Because guess what? Someone didn't wake up today. Someone does not have a job. Someone has nobody that cares. Someone is actually cold. Someone is actually hungry. Right now, you have everything you need, some of what you want, and all of what you desire is coming your way. You just got to keep attracting it to you. Don't pull it, attract it. And you attract it by caring for others and allowing others to care for you.
I mean, you don't have to say any more after that. Except we should probably tell people where they can be in touch with you in case they do want to hear more. So tell
Well, if
them
you
how they
want to
can.
hear more, you can see me on Stage Plus, or actually hear me on onstageplus.com. I'm also on YouTube. I am on Facebook, and you'll find me under Darlene Williams-Prades or Dr. Darlene Williams-Prades, or you can reach me at my website, which is https:// www.superiorloveforever.com. I am there, I am waiting, and I'm always willing to help. It's not about an age limit, it's not about a skin color. What do you need? I am a concierge service. So if you're in another state, we can Zoom it or you can fly me to you, and we're going to sit down and we're going to work through this whole process. I have multiple programs. They're all specifically scheduled for different types of situations. If you're a teenager and you're just trying to figure out, well, how do I get in college? My husband and I know how to do that. We've both done that before. You're trying to get along with your parents. You're trying to get along with your spouse, or on the other side of that, you're trying to mediate a contract, and you don't think it's fair. Well, we both know how to do that as well. So I'm here to serve. What I do is build bridges, mend fences, and create resolution. And that is who I am.
Thank you, and thank you for sharing your heartfelt wisdom and your really powerful soul message is coming through. Really appreciate you for being here, Dr. Darlene, and for all the work you're doing. It's
Well,
been
thank you so
a
much
true
for
honor.
having me.
Okay, everyone, now that you've heard the episode, I'd love to hear your response. If you have any questions, for me or Dr. Darlene, but I'll tell you where I hang out on social media. I'm on the major channels. My name is the same on all of them at Robin L. Owens, PhD, at Robin L. Owens, PhD. I spend most of my time on LinkedIn. I give tips and advice on really how to connect with your true purpose. And so I do that while I am still working on the end of finishing my book that will give you a step-by-step guide on how to do that. And I'm just teasing you for coming soon. I'll start the wait list here soon in an episode. I'll start a wait list on that. But I'm really excited about it. And I see you, Dr. Darlene, for encouraging me. I saw the sigh of encouragement with your hands in the background. So thank you for
Yes,
that.
we both have books that will be released.
Again, Robin L. Owens at Robin L. Owens, PhD, at Robin L. Owens, PhD. And until next time, this is Dr. Robin.